Another day, another Derby profile. Today's episode is going to be on Hit Show. Let's go. First things first, we got the stats, and these look pretty good. 5 starts, 3 firsts, 1 second, no thirds, and earnings of $404,375. His major races both came at Aqueduct. First, he won the Wither Stakes and got 20 points, and then he was second in the Wood Memorial by a nose and got an extra 40 points, the push he needed to make it into the Derby starting gate. His highest speed figure came in the Wither Stakes and is on the worser side, a 91. There have been slower, but not too many, and there are plenty of horses who ran better speed figures in second place. For running style, we are sticking to a similar theme to our previous episode, talking about a horse who tends to stay near the back. Now, Hit Show is not a deep closer, but he usually is towards the other half of the field before he slowly but surely wears you down and maybe wins. Sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't. For strengths, I'd say Hit Show's strengths definitely come in the form of the fact that he can close off a slow pace. I talked about just how detrimental this sort of thing was for Sun Thunder, but for Hit Show, he has proven that he can close and chase down a leader. A horse like Arctic Arrogance was able to take on slow fractions up front, and despite that, Hit Show was still able to wear him down. It also helps him greatly that his pedigree is perfect for the 1.25 mile distance, so Hit Show's general cruising speed is going to be maintained throughout the whole ordeal, so he'll definitely be able to wear down some horses late and pick up some pieces. And now it's time for the weaknesses, and there are a couple. Similar to Lord Miles from a couple of episodes back, the whole New York Kentucky Derby prep series was pretty weak, and the fact that Hit Show was its leader and still proved to be a vulnerable favorite is pretty concerning. Even if he did win the Wood Memorial Stakes, he probably would have just been written off as a worse-looking version of Practical Move, the local state champ who has a lot to prove going into Churchill Downs. Speaking of Churchill Downs, that adds one more weakness. His worst performance to date was at Churchill Downs, and in that very race he lost, he was defeated by 2 different Kentucky Derby horses, Confidence Game and Rocket Can. Overall, Hit Show does have the pedigree to be a 1.25 mile horse, and has proven that he can handle a slower pace, so the lack of many frontrunners in this year's Kentucky Derby is not going to harm his ability to come from off the pace. However, doing his Kentucky Derby prepping in New York means that he's going to have to deal with a huge jump in competition quality, and the fact that he failed to win as a vulnerable favorite in one of the weaker Kentucky Derby preps, the Wood Memorial Stakes, is not a good early sign. So for all of that, I give Hit Show a C grade. Maybe he could surprise me and fly late for a small placing, but that's the best I could think of for this horse. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Derby Profile, and see you guys next time.